Witchy and Weird podcast.
Hi, Witchy and Weird. I'm here with another dynamic duo. I'm here with Goddess Hanks. So I'm here with both Juliet Piper and Sadie Olson, both hosts of the podcast Goddess Hangs. Maybe you've heard of it because I was interviewed on their podcast. But they're just a lovely BFF duo that are here to empower you and make witchy spiritual things fun. Hello.
Hi, we're so excited to be here.
So excited.
Yes, this is your first co-interview as a podcast. How does that feel?
It's exciting. You have the Goddess Hangs exclusive. We're always the interviewers, not the interviewees.
Yes. I know, it's funny. I'm trying to think of questions. I'm like, wait, no.
Like, we get to relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great because I think that a lot of what you have created, at least how I feel about it, is really inspiring and empowering because you do really have this kind of like BFF energy when it comes to it. I feel like sometimes with podcasts and other like spiritual teachers, it can sometimes feel intimidating. So you've both done like a really good job at making people like feel like I'm the third BFF in this chat right now.
Yes.
So I'd love to know like more about how like your approach to that. Like what was your vision for Goddess Hangs and like what kind of empire are you like wanting to create?
Well, we were actually just talking about, we were on the phone 20 minutes before. We were like, we're about to interview, like, I'm going to go for a minute. But we started the podcast because we are both pretty early on, a couple years into our own spiritual journeys, our own journeys with witchcraft and magic and manifestation and mindset. And we're best friends. And so we kind of just wanted to share that, like, you can start doing the thing, you can start the business, you can start like calling yourself a witch, like as soon as you decide that it's going to happen for you. And I'm so happy to hear that you feel like you're the third BFF when you hang out with us and when you listen, because that's the goal. Like, we really want to just make everyone feel so welcome, because the spiritual world can be kind of intimidating. The witchy world can be intimidating. Like, where do I start? Am I doing it right? And we're like, look, we're learning here with you. So that was always the goal. That feels really good to hear from you.
Yeah, Juliet, do you want to add anything, or you're like, exactly?
No, Sadie definitely always takes the words out of my mouth. But we did, and honestly, it all originated from a very wholesome place where I was just thrilled to spend more time with Sadie. And it's amazing how much this has attracted and how many amazing people have come into our lives because of this. And that, you sort of get to watch like our friendship develop and unfold while our business develops and unfolds, and while we just create this community. And we do think it's pretty special and unique. And I don't know of anything else quite like it.
Yeah, I love the idea of like letting people in on the process. And I think that's probably why I feel like I'm, the third friend in the group, because it's not like I've discovered and done all the work and now I'm just going to share it with you. It's like we're here in the process with you, and that feels very like inclusive for people. So kudos on that. I love it.
I'm going to start crying. I just feel, I'm like, Amanda makes me feel so seen.
That's my special gift, right?
I'm like, we're trying. That's what we're trying to do, and it's resonating.
Totally.
So I guess like what I'm curious to know is like, what would be like something, I guess like we talked about like what your vision is personally for the podcast, but what is your intention with like letting people in on the process? Like you're saying, like you can take the action, you can do this. Like what type of message do you want to share with people like who are listening to this podcast who maybe have never heard Goddess Hangs before?
I would say that I feel like the biggest, deepest purpose beneath everything that we do is reminding people that you have so much inner magic within you. There's so much you can do. There's so much you can create. You can literally create anything you desire. And I think our show is this crazy testament to that we started. We're not even a full year in, and the amount that has happened makes no sense. We were just talking about this on the phone. The numbers, nothing makes sense in the best way. And so I think it's like, I don't know if I'm even answering your question properly, but I think the message we would want to leave people with is that you're so powerful, you're so magical. You can, if you believe in yourself, as you know, as cliche as that is, you can make magic happen. And it is so fun to like do it from this imperfect place of, you know, oh, we discovered this today, we learned this today, we made this mistake, we figured this out, because you know, the journey is always ongoing. We haven't arrived anywhere, you know?
Yeah, I love that. So in terms of like wanting people to believe in themselves, like what can you both share to like, what are like tips or tricks or things like that?
Well, we really think that like our purpose in life is to be the most you version of you, right? So that sounds great, but you're like, well, what does that even mean? And I think we like to talk about sort of following the breadcrumbs of your desires. Like, what can I do today, even if it's small? And I think this ties in a lot to like the inner child stuff that you taught us when you came on our podcast. And we didn't even realize we were doing inner child work in this way. But like, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do right now? That's a way to get yourself to sort of trust in those small desires and build up to like, you have to create a safe environment for those big, crazy, wild dreams to sort of blossom and become clear to you. So start today by saying like, what do I want to do now? What do I want to do differently than I have been doing? What doesn't feel good anymore that I feel obligated to, or like it's something I should be doing and I can let go. And you'll find before you know it, and you're following those little breadcrumbs, that the big stuff becomes a lot clearer really, really quickly.
I also, you know, we love this idea of divine confidence, and just that it's, you know, I'm playing with this idea right now that it is a spiritual act to believe in yourself. It's a spiritual act to love yourself. It's not selfish in a bad way. It's not frivolous, you know, it's important. And when we do that, and when we realize that every single person who has achieved something amazing was just another person who believed in themselves, it becomes a lot more feasible, because we're like, oh, you know, name anyone that you admire, and it's like, oh, that was just a person who decided to believe in themselves. And we're all inherently worthy, and we're all inherently able to do that. And so it's just about, you know, the more that we shine our light, the more other people shine their light. And then when we see somebody like you, Amanda, shining your light, it inspires us to shine even brighter. And it's this crazy ripple effect, and it's really beautiful. So it is of high service to believe in yourself and show up as yourself.
Yeah, I've been seeing that too, like on your personal page, Juliet, like you take these really like seemingly mundane ideas and concepts, and then you're like, no, this is a like divine thing, this is a sacred thing, this is like a witchy thing. And I think a lot of us get so caught up in like, it needs to be fancy and magical and all this, and you're like, confidence is divine. It's like, what? Like how? You know? Like, so I love that you're making it like very, like I said, like breaking it down to make it very easy. Like these are building blocks that like maybe we've heard our entire life. Like you said, like having confidence makes you sexy. Having confidence helps you achieve your dreams. Like all these things. It's like, but like, it's like, it feels like an infomercial, but wait, like, have you heard that like being divine, being confident is divine? Like, I love that. I don't know. For me personally, it's like, whenever I hear stuff like that, it makes it easier for me to get behind it. I'm like, oh, that makes it cool. Like it's divine now. Like I have to honor this. I can't just like throw it away and like never look at it.
Oh my gosh.
And we like to take it to the next level where we like to call ourselves divinely delusional, because we're like, we're gonna like, what's the harm in being completely delusional about who we are and what we're doing and how insanely successful we will be. And I think that's why we found so much success in such a short period of time, because we record and we, you know, go work events and we show up imperfectly, but we're like delusional. We're like, I'm talking to a million people right now. Like, like that's my reality. Like I'm the smartest person I could possibly be. I'm just going to speak from that energy. So we like to take it to another level and say, why not be divinely delusional?
It's very fun to play with that energy. And it's especially fun to play with that energy with a friend. So whether or not you're lucky enough to be in business with your best friend, you could still have friends in your life that you are all just divinely delusional. Like it's really fun to walk into a room thinking like, oh my God, I am the most gorgeous person that's ever walked into this room. And so is she, and so is she, and so is she. And it's really fun. And it almost has nothing to do with, what you look like or what you wish was different about your body or anything, or your abilities or anything. It's just about this divine confidence, it's divine delusion that, yeah, I could figure it out. I can make anything happen. And so we've been having so much fun playing with that.
Yeah, I love that, because I think people overcomplicate and make stuff like too much. And so the fact that you're like, I'm always going to bring fun into this and like silliness, because I think that can disarm like your ego and a lot of pieces of you, just to be like, whatever, I'm just I don't need to have a goal. I'm just having fun here. Like, this is how I'm looking at my life. Like, I'm imagining like I'm the most, like you said, the most beautiful person, or like I'm talking to like a million people right now. Like, I really like that. I think that's like a super important thing, a takeaway for people, is like, just have fun with it. Like, pretend that you're that version that you want to be in any given moment. That's it. Honestly, like the way that you both do that, it feels effortless. So I don't know, like if you have like any advice for like how you got that started, or like how you just believe it and flow with it so easily for people who are like, okay, I want to try this. Where do I start?
I feel like, again, it's that thing where like Sadie put herself out there a little bit more, and then I felt safe to put myself out there. So you never know how what you're doing is inspiring other people. So that's the first thing I'll say about that. But I think I hit a point, and I think Sadie hit a point too, where you realize like, I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. And I'm going to be the person that, tying it back to inner child stuff, who would 7-year-old Juliet be absolutely obsessed with? And that's who I'm going to show up as. And I know for a lot of people, they'll love it, and it might be a little unusual or different. And I know a lot of people will be like, and that's okay. So just maybe like looking into your inner child and realizing that, yes, your old friends from high school, your old coworkers, your in-laws might be like, this is a little odd, but those aren't really your ideal clients or your ideal community or your ideal people anyways. So just sort of letting that go, I think, is helpful, especially with showing up online, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's like, we might show up and it looks effortless and it looks like, and it's the truth. We are, divinely confident, but a lot of times I'm scared, or I feel like imposter syndrome creeps through, where I go, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing? Excuse my French. And I'm not qualified to be doing this. I'm not qualified to be like leading this group of amazing people. And then I kind of come back to myself. And so it's just like having the conversation, like, okay, like what's the worst that can happen? And it all changed for me when I was like, well, even though it feels really, really scary, absolutely terrifying to start showing up in a new way, it's better than what I've been doing my whole life, which is playing small and kind of like doing what I should be doing, quote unquote, according to like my family and things like that. So it's like, is it worse to keep playing small, or is it worse to like put yourself out there and maybe fail and get back up and show up and maybe be judged, and then eventually you're going to find your crew that like loves you for who you are and shows up with you. And so it's like, you're never going to get to a place where you're not scared anymore. It's never going to happen. I'm still scared.
Yeah,
still scared to grow and expand, but you got to just say, I'm going to be scared and go for it anyways.
Yeah. Divine confidence is not about being fearless, because I don't believe anybody's fearless.
No, we are not fearless.
No. Plenty of anxiety. Plenty of it.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, it's not about being fearless. It's just about like being more bold, taking more risks, like pushing through more and more and more, and like getting used to it, like in your body, to be like, well, you did it one time, so now you can do it again. And yeah. I really like that advice. Okay, so I know like the other thing y'all are known for is like being manifestation like wizards. So I wanted to like talk to you about like how your approach to manifestation, and like kind of like how you came to like you said, we've been in business for less than a year, and like it like logically doesn't make sense, but here we are manifesting the life of our dreams. So if you want to like elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because when I first started learning about manifestation and those sort of typical steps that any manifestation coach, teacher, guide will put out in front of you is like, okay, well, you have to set the intention, you need to get clear on what you want. You need to get in the feeling that that is like your truth. It's already yours. You need to work on releasing the blocks and the limiting beliefs and the fears and things like that. And then you need to take action. And it's like, okay, great. I have a step by step. And I felt like I was doing that for a while and nothing was happening, but other people were manifesting and other people were finding success with it. And then all of a sudden it went boom, boom, boom. So it's just like, do the steps, get in the feeling. And that's part of that like divine delusion again, of just like, I have a podcast that gets like 1 million listens per episode. And I travel the world doing events and speaking with my best friend and all of these things that are sort of on our manifestation list. Well, you just have to believe that it's already done in the grand scheme of things, because time is not linear. So if I decide it's already done, it's already done. I'm just waiting to catch up to that timeline. So you just have to keep at it. Like, don't give up. That's how we've done this, is we've continued to take action. And then all of a sudden things blew up and it happened. So my biggest manifestation tip is just like, keep going. Don't give up. I think we give up. We get discouraged. Like if Juliet and I gave up after 3 months because we were, like, oh, we only have this many downloads. Well, then we wouldn't have seen the growth we got within the next 3 to 6 months after that, and like where everything exploded. So if you want to be doing something, you're meant to be doing it, and just keep fucking doing it.
I think that the 2 steps that get kind of I don't know what the word is,
like
maybe misinterpreted, because I think everybody's like, okay, I know what I want, I'm visualizing it. The surrender piece is huge, and it's that weird thing of like, know what you want it more than anything, and now act like you don't want it anymore. Almost like play hard to get. But what works best for me is sort of what Sadie was saying about, if something's already done, you're no longer obsessing over it. Like if you've placed your order at the restaurant, if you've placed your order on, your online shopping, you're not, it's coming, and you completely let it go. And so that energy of not forgetting about it or not wanting it anymore, but just being like, oh, it's coming, and living from that feeling, because energy and vibration is all about how we feel, is a huge game changer. And I think taking inspired action is another thing that gets overlooked. And it's like my second language. I live to take inspired action. I want to reach out to, and it just comes. And the more that you let it go and you say, God, angels, universe, like, tell me what to do. Like, please guide me. I'm so excited to make this happen. You will be amazed at the taps you get on the shoulder, or somebody will say something and it's like, oh, I should send this to this person. We talk a lot about how Sadie got this download for us to go to this Rose Bowl flea market, and the list of things that came from that is another thing that makes no sense. And it was so specific and so almost left field to bring a podcast to a flea market. And it was amazing. So those would be, I think, our strongest manifestation tips. And yeah, to keep going, because sometimes you're just this close to the treasure, And I always love thinking you just never know what's around the corner. So why would you stop if you love it so much? So that's where we're at with that.
I really like that. I think I kind of came to a similar like visualization like last week or the week before of like visualizing, like you brought up you put your order in your cart and then it's like it's coming. I kind of visualize like the universe as like a big store, and I'm just like bringing my, like I would like this please, and then like leaving it with them. It's like I like that kind of visualization that you guys are talking about, where it's like you can't always be like worried and focusing on it and not sure if it's going to come and all these things. Like you're working with some unseen force, whatever you believe in, and that is have to believe that it's going to be there to help you and be there to support you. And I really like your the inspired action. And I think you kind of also talk about it too, Sadie. It's like, just keep doing things, just keep going, just keep going. I think a lot of people get discouraged. Like I know I have an Aries moon, and it's like, if I launch something and like, I don't get an immediate like sale, I'm just like, the world is ending. Like I can't do this anymore. And like, so I think you're right. Like a lot of people, they miss that step of like, I have to keep going. And I think that the way that you put it, Juliet, is really nice, because I think a lot of people don't really describe it this way, that it's like sometimes the inspired action is asking for the help, like please send me the messages I need, send me the downloads I need, the people I need, the connections I need, and like knowing that and trusting that every step and everything you do in between to getting the manifestation to come to fruition is part of that. Because I think people think like very linearly, it's like, okay, if I want to like make it $5,000 in my business, like the only thing I need to focus on is like my business and like making all the steps in my business. But it's like, no, everything in your life could help you, could open that door for you. So it's like everything that I approach my life with from now on until then, like could be an opportunity, could help me get there. And I think that kind of like being open to being surprised, like you said, like what's around the corner, like that's something that people maybe aren't familiar with. And it's like, working in that way can make it easier, and it makes it a lot quicker, like how you guys are manifesting huge things already.
Yeah. And I think the biggest breakthrough, so if you're like, if you're at a place where you're like, manifestation sounds cool, but I'm not exactly sure what the big things are that I want to manifest, the biggest breakthrough for me was learning how to tap into my intuition, which Amanda is amazing to work with for that. Because your intuition will tell you what you want. Your intuition will give you information about how to get it. It will lead you there. So if there's like one thing that I could advise you in working on when it comes to like, all right, I'm ready to like take manifestation seriously, I'm ready to make this shit happen, it's like, work on your intuition, work on that connection. Cause that has been the key for Juliet and I, is just really trusting like, oh, I had this download to go to a flea market. Well, that's kind of an absurd way to market a podcast, but I'm going to trust it. And then we've made so much money and had so many opportunities because of someone we met at the flea market. We came out like even at that flea market, but it's just a testament to like, oh, our intuition will lead you where we're meant to go.
And then things will surprise you, because we did have directly related things happen. And then at the same event, somebody scouted us for a game show, and then I got cast on the game show and won a lot of money. So it's just, you just never know.
Yes.
You just never know where things are nudging you. And I think it's also something that just requires practice and like a playful energy. And I think I had, without even realizing it, like 15 years of practice doing this, because I've always put out music. I've put out many, many, many songs over the years. And it's that thing of like, you have the vision, you put in the action, you release it, and you see what happens. And sometimes the song gets 100 plays, and sometimes it gets 100,000 plays, and sometimes it gets something cool to happen, and sometimes nobody cares about it, but you keep doing it. And you do it because you love it, and you do it because you have to do it. And I think, this podcast, we have to do it. It's so important to like our soul's, joy and journey, that it's, if that takes some pressure off of it, if you're like, oh, well, I had 10 people sign up instead of 50, it's like, that's a success. 10 people.
That's incredible.
And it's funny, as we're talking, I'm getting notifications. We just had another girl join our Patreon. That's so sweet. They're all like greeting her. You just, you do it because you have to, because you love it, because you want it. And then when you stay in that energy, people can feel it and the universe can feel it. And so if you can take any pressure and stress off in that way, that has helped me at least greatly.
Yeah, I love this. I think like life can sometimes jade us into thinking that it's on our side and it's here and it wants us to succeed. So I love, like, it's a really refreshing attitude that you both have of like, I'm open to being surprised. I'm open to like creating like things that aren't even there yet. I'm open, like to all of these things. And it's really like your lives and your podcast is like a testament to like it, like, I think if nothing else, if your podcast is nothing else, it's like a testament to like these things that I'm talking about are true. Like this is the best example of this that we can show you. And so I think it really is inspiring. Like it feels very simple, but I think sometimes we need to we overcomplicate things as humans. So like having that simple like idea of like, I'm just open to any opportunity, every opportunity, like I'm here to be surprised and to have fun. And that's like can be super hard for people in and of itself. So I love that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, were you going to say something?
Well, I mean, if I don't know why I thought of Skechers. I'm like, if Skechers wants us to be their it girls, we'll do it. Like we're open to being surprised.
Only if we can hold our crystal balls while we're part of the Skechers campaign.
I should have said something like, Chanel, but Skechers came through. That's funny.
Watch, Skechers emails us next week and they're like, hey girls.
Oh my God. I would die. I'd be so excited.
We'll keep the Witchy and Weird community updated on our Skechers collab.
Skechers sponsorship.
I'm more of a Vans girl myself, but we'll see what happens. I'm gonna call in Vans for us.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I really feel like it's a simple thing, but it's like the point of like being open and being surprised by any opportunity that comes your way, like, and not shooting it down, especially like in the beginning when you're figuring it out and maybe you're not sure like what direction I'm supposed to take, what I'm good at, what I feel like, what this, what that, like how you were saying, like, even if you fail, it's like a learning experience. You're still holding that vision. I'm still on the way to getting there. And this is part of the process. It's not like, oh, I failed, I have to stop. It's like, that's okay. Like I learned that piece. What can I learn from that and keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We just set the intention that we want to call in, opportunities, ideas that will lead us on the path that's meant for us, the path for our greatest good. And sometimes that looks like stuff we could have never conceived of. Like someone asked us to do an event and then now we do live events. That's not something we ever pictured when we first started the podcast. And now it's a big part of our business together. So it's really interesting how when you you need to get specific, but then like leave it open. And that's another manifesting tip is like, don't box yourself into something. It's always like this or something better. Mm-hmm. But just say, hey, universe, like I'm ready to make some shit happen. I don't know what yet, like send some ideas my way and you'll be surprised at what pops up for you.
Yeah. I think the, like I just got a download around this, like the idea that you guys take of being like divinely delusional. I think that it's actually something that's a little bit unique in manifestation where you're basically admitting like, I'm not the expert. I don't know, like, I know my intuition knows what's best for me, but it's like, I don't know, like, what is the right decision or the right opportunity that will bring me that, outcome. And so like, by having that kind of like, oh, I'm naive, I don't know what's going on, like silly, playful attitude, the universe is like, cool, I can throw anything at you and you'll be receptive to it. And that's how you're getting there. Because I think a lot of people, when they set their intention, like you said, they're too specific around like what they want and they're too tied to a certain outcome, or they think like, no, that's not, I don't see how it's directly related to my vision and the thing I'm calling in. So I'm going to say no to this. And with you, you're both like, woo, whatever, like cool, like this will be cool, like the universe is throwing it at me for a reason, so let's do it, and then creates more and more and more hype for yourselves. It's like totally growing.
Well,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's quite fun to almost say to the universe, like, what will you have me do? Like, how would you like to work through me? Because before we started our podcast, I was so hell-bent, headstrong. I'm going to be a songwriter, a singer-songwriter, and that is who I am, and that is what I do, and that is it, and that is the end of the story. And then this has all started coming to me, and it has been more, I could have never pictured this. And it is so exciting and so abundant and so much fun. And I feel like, you know, it is safe to expand, and it is safe to be all of the things we love at once. And I think if we have our heads down too much and we're not open to any guidance, you just never know. You just never know. And now here come, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of people into our world who can also enjoy my music. Like, you just never know how things are all going to work in your favor, and how you might be meant to like serve people and show up in a bigger way than you could have ever imagined. So yeah, being open is I think a huge key.
Yeah. And I think the times in my life where I've gotten really like sort of like tightened up and gotten stressed about like, oh, you know, this should be happening in my business by now, or, you know, I should have an offering like this because I see other businesses with doing that. That's the time when nothing's happening for me. And then when I sort of let go and I go, okay, I got to get back to the attitude of like, I think the phrase life is a game is there for a reason. That's how we're meant to sort of move through it, is just like, how can I play this game, have fun? The offerings that have done the best for me are the ones that I actually want to create, and not the ones I feel like I should be doing. So it's just a testament to like, the more you let go and you kind of let the inner child take the lead in a way, and just, yeah, have some freaking fun. That's where the abundance really starts to flow in so much more easily than when you have strict rules for yourself about what it should look like and how it should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I feel like I get in the same way. I'm just like, oh, it should be this. Oh, why isn't it that?
Yeah.
So I think that's good. So what advice would you have for people who like maybe are stuck in that spot and they're like, how do I get out of it? Like, I've spent so much of my life being like, meh, you know, like how do I shift that?
Shift into a more like open, playful, fun space?
I guess like how Sadie was saying, like the times in my life that I've felt like this, then I like tell myself like, okay, we need to shift. Like, what is your advice for like getting out of that space? Like, oh, I feel like I'm stuck in this like negative space, or this like, oh, woe is me, I'm not doing it well enough, other people are better, you know, like what advice do you have to like get yourself out of that?
I think you have to like step away completely and like just like, I'm stressed about my business. I'm not making the income I need to be to like afford my life, whatever. I'm so stressed. You can get so tightly wound around it, and you're not going to create something powerful from that, like sort of like clenched up, scared space. So, I mean, literally, like I will blast my Disney playlist and like belt out singing and dancing, or I will go roller skating. Or this is why I was like, oh, I've been doing inner child stuff. When you came and did the interview, I was like, oh, I do that. But it's like the simplest things we can do is just shift the vibration we're in. And so whatever makes you feel at ease, like painting, drawing, going for a walk with like no phone, or going for a walk with your music blasting in your headphones or whatever, like that's sort of the like in real time quickest way that I can shift into the right energy. And I think another thing that helps me is sort of like, and this is the Virgo side of me, is writing stuff down. Like, is it really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Is everything really so serious? What's the worst that is going to happen if I only make this much income this month? Turns out it's going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. I have people to ask for support. I have people to help me. And so it's just like getting real with yourself, because a lot of times our brains want to go to like panic mode before it's really necessary, way before it's really necessary. And then just finding the ways to like quickly shift your energy for yourself. I think that's been the biggest thing of just like, how can I sort of break out of this like scared shell thing I've built around me in these days or weeks that I've tightened up around like what I'm creating.
I love all of that. I also think it's a great moment to, like what Sadie said, step away completely and say, you know, however you like to say it, God, angels, universe, I'm handing this one to you. I don't have an answer. I'm feeling a little stuck. It's beyond what my brain can figure out at this moment. I'm handing it to you. Thank you so much for the clarity coming very soon. And then do something to shift your energy. Like Sadie just said, do something that's fun. Go to the beach. Like even if it feels like, no, but I should be working harder at this moment, give yourself time to play and celebrate and relax, because when we're relaxed, that's when we get these nudges. So it is about pulling back. And when we're really in that headspace, we're spending a lot of time in our head, and we're spending a lot of time reaching for things outside of us, I feel like. And really, we need to kind of come back into like our hearts and our bodies and our souls and realize that everything we need is sort of either within us or will channel through us. So yeah. And I also, you know, I go to Britney Spears. She's the person who
I have Disney, you have Britney.
Britney.
I think anytime that you're telling yourself, I need to work harder, is the signal that you need to take a break. Honestly, every time I get down on myself about, you need to be working harder, it's usually when I need to take a break.
Yeah.
I really like that. Yeah. I think I like both of your different perspectives, because it's like, try this or try that, see what works for you. Like, it doesn't need to be like one way. And I think that is like a huge reason why people quit, you know, their goals and their dreams, is because they get stuck in that human space. I really like how you were saying, like, this is too much for my human brain to understand, to process. Like, I'm going to step away from this, because we unfortunately are in a society that's like, it needs to be practical and logical. You need to think it out. You need to have like all these plans and things. And like, then we forget, like, be in your body, be in your energy, like, have fun, like, trust in yourself, and the universe can help you and other people, you know. So I really like that. I try not to say gendered words like that, but
we don't care.
We don't care.
I know, it's just like my personal thing. I'm like, like I'm non-binary, so I try to like remove, like, I know some people wouldn't, so it's just, I'm trying.
What would be the replacement for that instead of your guys's?
Like, you're both of you.
Oh, okay.
Like, y'all. I use y'all a lot, and then like people think I'm Southern, and I'm like, no.
I know, I use y'all a lot too. I think you guys is a very Midwest thing, because like that's all I hear come out of anyone's mouth when I go home. So it's like it's so normal to me, but I appreciate the
yeah, like personally, I don't care. Like if somebody's like, oh, you guys over here, but some people, like, oh, I'm not a guy, you know, it's like exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Okay, so what are some like other things that your podcast brings to the table? I don't know if I wanted to ask this question. I felt like intuitively called to, but I don't know if this is like something that maybe you have been aware of or was a goal for you. But I personally love like the way that you present your, like, the vibe and the energy of your podcast is very much so, like you said, like, I'm picking whatever my inner child is like super into, and I don't care. And I think that for some people, especially like female identifying people, like showing up like glittery and sparkly and like bright colors, like there might be like a fear, like, will people take me seriously because maybe I look like a child or something? So I'm really curious to know, like, if you've thought of this. I mean, I can tell like you guys are smiling, so it's like, man, you probably thought about this, but like for advice for people who maybe are like, oh, I want to be this way, I feel really drawn to this, but I'm scared that like people are going to judge me or think that I'm like childish or stupid or whatever.
So you have to show up in the way that is most true to you. And Sadie and I are we're badasses for sure in our own ways. And we're very powerful and we're very strong and decisive and like, you know, etc. But we're very sparkly, fairy-esque women. And it would have felt strange to present ourselves, you know, with like perfectly clean lines and like nude tones. It just wouldn't have reflected us. And so I think that's kind of a little bit of the charm, is that maybe at first glance, it's like, oh, who is this? There's a little bit of a Barbie thing going on. And then you go deeper and you realize how much substance is in the podcast. And I even had that type of feedback once from somebody who presented themselves a little more like in darkness and darker colors, and they were pleasantly surprised. But we did it in a way, we didn't really think too much about it. We just did it in a way that was really authentic to us and really, really fun. And I think throughout at least my time in middle school and high school, it was cool to be more of a tomboy and to be more of a rocker girl, and to nobody was doing pink sparkly unless you were like Paris Hilton, and that came with its own slew of jokes, which the joke's on everybody else because she's brilliant and extremely successful and I love her. But yeah, we just were like, we have to be us, and this is sort of like if our insides were painted on a wall, what it would look like.
You slash me open, sparkles will come out.
Yes.
And it's actually really fun. If you go to the beginning of our Instagram, the beginning of our, we have YouTube videos of us recording, and you can see the progression of us getting more comfortable in expressing ourselves and growing more into ourselves. And it's been really powerful for me because like, I don't know, I've constantly had this like back and forth in my life where I was like, I'm going to wear like all black and be like goth girl. And that's really cool. And that's how I present myself to come across as like someone to be taken seriously and maybe even a little bit scared of. I don't know why that, maybe it was like a protecting thing or something. And I definitely still have that part of me too, but I was like, oh, I can be pink and sparkly and have pink nails and wear a purple feather boa and still be like cool girl Sadie that listens to screamo music sometimes. Like, and I love that I've gotten to a place, and it's been really special to be like, oh, I can express myself however I feel like, and I don't have to be, I still have days where I want to dress in all black and be goth Sadie or whatever, emo Sadie, and I get to be like all of the things. I get to be scary Sadie and spicy Sadie and sweet Sadie and sparkly Sadie
and posh Sadie and baby Sadie and Jerry Sadie. Ginger Sadie, like, I mean.
It's just been really cool to embrace that, because I always had this thing in my mind that I don't know, I had to present some sort of like version of me to the world to I don't know, be taken a certain way. And now I just feel really comfortable being myself on any given day, which that changes day to day.
Yeah.
It's funny as we get older, because we're now in our 30s, we're sort of wearing these wardrobes that, like, at least for me, I wish I was bold enough to wear in like middle school and high school, but I was busy wearing Hollister t-shirts and, just what was very popular at the time. And so, yeah, it's so funny. I never think about like, are people going to take me seriously in this outfit? Because I don't think I care. I think it's more about, I know how multidimensional anyone can be. I know how multidimensional women can be. I know how multidimensional I am and Sadie is, so it's, wear what you like and show up how you want to show up.
Our favorite joke is that because we both turned 30 recently, that we're 30 going on 13 because we've started dressing like little sparkly princess fairies.
Yeah. And it's fun.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I love that. Cause I think like, that's kind of how I see, like when I was saying, when I look at your podcast, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And it kind of goes with what you're saying, like when you shine, like you inspire other people to shine and vice versa and stuff. So I thought, I don't know, I just was thinking about that before the interview, and I was like, this is something that I think people like maybe need permission for, or, and I think it even ties back to what you were saying, like inner child healing, like just being that person that your inner child would think is super, super, super cool, like, or always wish that they had, and things. I think that it feels maybe the same theme, like a little mundane to people, like, oh, okay, like you're just being sparkly, whatever. But it's like, no, like my inner child is like so like 1,000% here for this, that it's
Yes.
lighting me up every day. Like it's giving me the vibes and the energy I need to like feel happy every single day. And I think people sometimes take that for granted, or they get too in their head, like how will I look, how, you know, all that stuff. So I love that you both are just out here just doing it.
Yeah, it was one of those things again where like it was a little scary at first, and then you just sort of, I think the more you sort of are on this spiritual mindset, witchy journey, whatever you want to call it, you get more and more comfortable like with the fear, and just you get more and more uncomfortable with being yourself and like proud of it. So like, whereas maybe before I would have been embarrassed going out in public in like what appears to be a child's costume because it's so sparkly and like bright purple space boots. Now I'm like excited to go out. I want people to see me for who I am and go, oh my God, girl, like look at your outfit. And like, I want that attention. Whereas before I would have been like, don't look at me. So it's something that I think Juliet and I are really proud of, that we've gotten to this space, and it feels so good to hear you recognize that. And I hope that even if your inner child isn't a pink sparkly unicorn like Juliet and I's, it helps everyone feel like they have permission, like we've given ourselves, to just express yourself however the fuck you want.
Yeah. I always see, like, I forgot what show it was, but I was watching a reality TV show, and like one of the judges or something was like this really like out there kooky, like she was like 60 years old, but she would just like make weird noises and dress weird. And I feel like some of the people were like, I was like, is this lady like okay, like why is she just like off the wall? But then like the judges took her completely seriously and valued her input, and like she changed the vibe of the room, because she was just like, meh, like whatever, I'm just gonna be me. And I think like that is so inspiring. Like my inner child was like that, like do that thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that you are both also being like beacons for people to express themselves in like the way that feels like empowering. I know like my inner child like always looked up to those like alternative girls that were like covered in tattoos with like crazy haircuts and like really good eyeliner, and I was like, I just really want to be that, like when I grow up. So I'm like, I cut my bangs like super short. I'm like, it's supposed to be ugly, like it's anti like I do it on purpose. I'm just like, I'm wearing like random things that don't match. I'm like, yeah. So,
every time
you do you.
Every time you pop up on my stories or your posts, I always think I would look like such a dork with those bangs, but you look so good in them. They're not ugly, they look amazing on you. But so I picture myself and I'm just like, I feel like I would look like Dumb and Dumber, like
sometimes I feel like that, like when I have my hair completely up, I'm like, oh Lord, this looks like a bowl cut, like what did I do?
You did magic.
It looks very hot on you. It I don't know, your face shape, it's very flattering, and you look like a very, very cool person. I'm obsessed with it, but I like to picture it on me. I'm gonna edit those bangs on me and send it to you.
Yeah, and you'll Photoshop.
I should say, again, if you go back to the first, like, I don't know, 10 episodes of our show, we weren't dressed up. We were very, very, very casual. We had not really come into that yet. And so I talk about this like this was years ago. It was, like January of this year. But we got this download, and we like meditated together one time, and we both were like, I think we need to invest in clothes that sort of highlight us, who we are. Yeah. And it was a very specific direction that we received. And it's just been a lot of fun. And I'm picturing like, when we all show up like as who we truly want to be, even if it's always a little scary because it's usually different than how our family and friends and people have known us. But when we do it, it's like, if you can imagine it lights you up even more. And then it almost like lifts you up on a nice little hill, and it makes you visible. And then people can see you and say, oh, I want to go over there. That person, looks, they have something to say. And so
makes you a magnet.
Yes,
I think
totally.
You radiate. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely goes with what you were saying about playing life as a game. It's like, like those role-playing games, or like pick what your character looks like, you get like wear and stuff like that. I feel like thinking about it in that kind of fun way where it's like, oh, what do I want my life to be like? Who do I see my highest vision of myself as? Like, I'm gonna pick that like avatar every single day when I wake up.
Yeah, like life is too short to not be who you want to be and wear the thing and have weird colored hair or get the tattoos or whatever, like your thing that like excites you. Like I recently got my fingers tattooed, which was like scary for me because I was like, oh my God, my hands. But then I was like, oh bitch, like I feel the most me I've ever felt. Like, and it's just like life is too short to not just do the damn thing that you want to do.
I also love, you know, I'm so obsessed with like family and history and stuff. And I so badly want my future grandchildren and great grandchildren to be like, look at grandma before she had kids, or even when I have children.
Yeah.
I always think about, you know, that legacy in like sort of a more family sense of how cool it will be, because I'm so proud and inspired by my grandparents, one grandma in particular who just lived her life doing exactly what she loved. And I don't know, sometimes if I can't find inspiration or the strength or the bravery, I always think like, well, you know, I'll do it for my grandkids that I don't have yet, nor do I have children. But you know, how do you want to be remembered is a good thing to ask yourself too.
I want to be remembered as that weird girl.
Heck yeah.
For real. I like that though, because like if you're listening and you don't have a business, you're like, okay, like how do I inspire other people? It's like you can inspire your own family, like like anyone who's around you. And like I like the idea too, like sometimes so like in my line of work, like we're always going into the past and we're healing the past. And like a new I know it's not new, but like a newer thing that I learned about is like tapping into the future, tapping into your future self. Like you said, I can't find the strength right now, but like I'm doing it for like the future versions of me and for like my family and like, you know, those pieces that haven't come yet, but I'm here just being like, I know that it's going to happen. So I'm finding strength in that.
Yeah, we love the idea of like everything we do here and now can be healing for both like our lineage, like both ways, like our ancestors and, you know, our family to come. So it's like, who are you not to go do what you want to do and be who you want to be? It offers so much healing to not only yourself, but your whole lineage. Like maybe the people alive in your family don't get it right now, but the ancestors get it and the future versions of you get it. So just you gotta do it. You gotta be you.
Yes. Okay. So this was amazing. And then to end out this, I just want to ask, like, where can people find you? What are things you're working on? Like either like what's going on in your podcast, like how can they connect, or if you want to like highlight something in your personal businesses.
So you can find our podcast on Instagram. It's at Goddess Hangs. You can also listen on Spotify. We have our episodes on YouTube. We have a great episode with Amanda that you can watch. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts. And honestly, anywhere where you can stream a podcast, you can find Goddess Hangs. You can follow me at juliet.piper. I post about positive stuff. I post about positive stuff, divine confidence and music and artistry and creative stuff. And I'll let Sadie tell you about her and about our exciting things we're up to.
Yeah, so you can follow me at I am Sadie Olson. I post about witchy stuff, intuition work. I have a great introduction to witchcraft course called Basic Witch 101. If you're like just starting to dip your toes into the water of the witchy world, it's great to sort of get you started so you feel comfortable exploring what's right for you in the witchcraft world. We, as a duo, Goddess Hangs created our own oracle deck. So that is now available for order. It's called Intuitive Magic Oracle. And we created it together as the ultimate oracle for the person that might be new to reading cards, because we found a lot of our audience being a little intimidated by tarot cards and oracle decks. So we worked together, we collaborated on the symbolism and the artwork, as well as including affirmations with each card. So they're really easy to intuitively tap into. We're really excited about that. We also have a goddess handbook, which is our guide to tapping into your goddess energy. If that feels aligned for you, that's a great way to, that's our budget friendly way to get more energy from us. And what else do we have?
We have a beautiful Patreon community.
Oh, we have a Patreon. I was like, there's something really big that I'm forgetting about. We have our BFF Patreon group, which is so fun. I think we have, I don't know, by the time this comes out, we might have like 50 people or more. We have 44 beautiful goddess witches in it right now. The first tier, you get to join a group chat with us, which is actually like 10 or 11 group chats by category now. It's so fun. It's so high vibe. Everyone's so sweet and supportive. And then we have a second tier that is a monthly coven meeting. That's really fun. So sometimes we do readings for the coven members. Sometimes we work spells together. It's so fun. And we would love to see some of you in there. I think that's it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, we do have a jewelry line coming on November 22nd.
This is what we need. We have so much happening. We have a jewelry line coming. Hop on our Instagram at Goddess Things and check that out.
Yes.
Yes. And everything will be in the show notes. So you can click on the link there. And I'll like tag them in any Instagram posts and things like that. And I just want to say thank you both for coming on, and congrats on having your first like official like podcast.
Yes. We are honored that we got to be on Witchy and Weird as our first step into being interviewed. It was very fun. And yes, everyone, if you haven't already, I'm sure all of your listeners have listened to it because they love you, but the episode with Amanda, Juliet, and I were like mind blown. My mouth is open the whole time.
Thank you.
It's such a good episode, so make sure you go check that out.
All right, so until next time, bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Witchy and Weird Pod. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest, follow us on the socials under Witchy and Weird Pod. And if you want to stay in contact with our host, Amanda, follow them on IG under Amanda Sakertop Intuitive, and Twitter and TikTok under Amanda Sakertop. And if you love Witchy and Weird Pod and want to support all that we do, become a patron and get access to exclusive benefits like discounts on merch, bonus content, and woo-woo experiences. As usual, everything is linked in the show notes. Bye!